Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore, everyone. Welcome to the very first peer-to-peer learnings session hosted by EvalYouth Indonesia in collaboration with Index and Allies. I hope I pronounce it correctly, James. Apologize me. So, it's such a pleasure to have you all here for our exciting capacity building. This session marks the beginning of the enriching journey where the young and emerging evaluators join together learnings to each others. Particularly in this session, we are talking about the case study and best practices in AI-driven evaluator techniques. So before we are entering our very interesting sessions, I will explain to you what's going to be happens within one hours. There will be introductions where we are knowing to each other, and then also introduction the EvalYouth Indonesia. If you are wondering what is EvalYouth Indonesia, and then there will be opening remark from the index. And there will be the main discussion about the case study and best practice in AI-driven evaluation in UN case study. And there will be question and answer, closing remark, photo session, and also please be stay tuned until the end. Yeah, okay. So before we are entering the session, I would like to know where you are joining from. So for examples, you can join. So you can go to the menti.com, yeah, and then enter the code 11304127. So if you one is already joined, I guess. There will be a map here, like my screen show, and then there will be like pin, and please put the pin where you come from. For example, James from from Singapore. You can like you can see where's the Singapore and then put the pen on it. Okay. Okay, someone is joining from the Kalimantan, I guess. No, from the okay.
Excuse me, could you send us the link of the Mentimeters or the number of your mentioned
Here
in the chat box so everyone?
Okay, in the chat box. Yes, sure. It's in the chat box. Go to the menti.com and oh sorry. It's 11014127. Go to the menti.com. Enter that code. Okay, well, we are waiting. Or you can also feel free to type it in the chat box where you come from. Okay, 7 are coming from Jakarta, I guess. Please then introduce yourself, name, and organizations. To make it. For example. Okay, welcome Erwin from Index. Prima from Ricolto. And feel free also type it in the chat box. Welcome Surangi from Sri Lanka, the male specialist. It's really nice to have you here. Welcome to Indonesia by online. Welcome Puput from IFRC and Rahma from Oxfam Indonesia. Welcome Edison from the Independent Researcher and Evaluator. Welcome James. Welcome Banovi and then Dwi Agus. Feel free to chat in the chat box also, yeah. Okay, the next question is, how long have you been in the meal world? Monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learnings. How long? Oh, someone is already expertise here. Someone is like the dinosaurs of the meal, yeah? There, and there's also a newbie here. Okay. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Young and expert. I think we can change our network as young and expert, young and experience. Okay. Oh, wow, more than 10 years in meal work. How does it look like? You can also open your mic. How it looks like to being like such a in a long time in meal. You know, I'm the when I know the meals, I'm getting like absorbed into it and really like how this word is emerging, being what you call it, being more innovative. Like now when we are using AA, why we're using the AA? Why not we are like utilizing the AA? So okay, measuring your knowledge using the AA evaluations. To extend your know how to using AI in evaluations. Is it okay? Yeah. Okay.
Oke, bisa gigi yang pink rasa strawberry.
Oh, nice.
Yang ada pingunya itu.
I will stop my screen and then I will offer to Prima to introduce us about what is EvalYouth Indonesia. I'm sorry for the background back sound. This is my daughter. Just finished the back. I will offer to Prima, the co-founder and technical advisor of EvalYouth Indonesia. What is EvalYouth Indonesia, Prima? Can you guiding us? Over to you, Prima.
Thank you, Danny. So, hello everyone. So, on the behalf of EvalYouth Indonesia, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all of you. So, we are really grateful for your time and participation. So, I also proud to introduce and share with you about our restructurization for our EvalYouth Indonesia management team. So, can you go to the next slide, please? Great. So here, we actually launched our EvalYouth Indonesia in 2022. And it's really a great moment for us because this is our first session. And I would like to introduce our management team here. We have our Index. Also, we collaborate with Index because EvalYouth Indonesia is actually an association or organization under Indonesian Development Evaluation Community. We have our strategic advisor also from Index, and myself as a co-founder and also technical advisor. I collaborate with Monica as a technical advisor there. And we also work together with our co-leader. Here we have Danny as a co-leader for capacity building, Neil Fari as a co-leader for membership, Aniza Filza as a co-leader for social media, Agnia Nadira as a co-leader engagement and networking, and Koraima Okfriani as a co-leader for resource mobilization. So we are all really happy to welcome you here, and we are looking forward to collaborate and also to contribute to the development of evaluation for young and emerging evaluator. And then also in this very moment, we would like to share our action plan for 2025. So it's actually based on our exercise that we did in 2022 during our kickoff sessions. We actually map out different problems and what is actually like the need of the young and emerging evaluator. And here we try to also define what is the action plan that we want to have in 2025. We have the institutionalization of the EvalYouth Indonesia, where we actually restructurize the management team and also update our membership database. Also, we want to have such a mentorship program where we actually collaborate with INDEC and other like EvalYouth Asia, and potentially also work with other EvalYouth in different levels. Furthermore, also we would like to have like a learning space for young and emerging evaluator, where we actually like our today's event is part of the peer-to-peer learning events. And the last but not the least, actually the networking with the evaluator at different level, whether it's a local, regional, and a global level. So it includes the knowledge cafe and also collaboration with the different parties for a capacity building event. So those are all actually our action plan for 2025. We are looking forward and once again, we are grateful for having you here, and also, enjoy the session today. Thank you.
Thank
So over back to Danny.
Thank you, Prima. Thank you so much. Getting excited to know more about EvalYouth. If you are interested, join us. Please join us. I think Niall will share the link to join from, yeah. So let's go to the opening remarks by Dwi Agus Stepantoro, the INDEC representative. Please, Mas Agus. No, Mas David, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Danny, and also Prima for the opening. And I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of INDEC and appreciation also to Mr. James Go for his willingness and time to share his experience, knowledge, and all this what you call insight about the utilization of AI for evaluations. I guess the topic is very relevant right now, and to me it's very exciting knowing that this is the time for ready or not to embrace AI for improving our works in the evaluations. I guess my appreciation also goes to EvalYouth Indonesia for arranging this. I'm confident that this will not be the last one. I'm sure you already have so many things already planned for next activity and next event. I believe you also have all energy and dedication and creative idea and thinking to continue providing safe space and also enabling environment for young emerging evaluators in Indonesia. INDEC will always support EvalYouth Indonesia, and for those young emerging evaluators, we're looking forward to work with you, to encourage you to learn more and improve yourself in evaluations. And once you are ready and consider not young anymore, maybe you can join INDEC. And we are open to your membership in INDEC as well. Without overdue, maybe over to you, Danny, and to start the session, I guess.
Thank you so much. So without further ado, I think we are going to the exciting sessions. I will introduce our moderator, Monica Zahra, is also a technical advisor of EvalYouth Indonesia, and she is also Melia specialist at the C4 ICRAF. She has over a decade of experience in monitoring, evaluation, and program development. With a master in marketing management and certification of theory of change and design thinking, she specializes in mail system, impact evaluation, and data analysis using mixed method. Her work span environmental management, women's empowerment, disaster risk reduction, social inclusion, driving evidence-based solution for sustainable developments. Without further ado, I will over it to Monica. Over to you, Monica.
Thanks, Danny. Greetings, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for participating and for joining us today. We have our distinguished speaker at this moment. As you see the screen, James. I cannot see it clearly. Okay. You can see James in our screen. James is an evaluation specialist at ILAX, where he leads AI driven evaluations. for UN agency and with expertise in integrating artificial intelligence into evaluation practices. He has worked on projects such as AI power interview transcript analysis, AI avatar interviewers for multilingual data collections and large-scale document review for the UN evaluations group. His work enhanced efficiency, depth, and culture sensitivity and evaluations. James is committed to advancing AI applications and evaluations and regularly conduct workshops, including hands-on tutorials on AI tools for interview analysis, survey processing, and automated reporting. And James, are you ready for your sessions this afternoon?
Yep. All right, let me share my.
Okay, over to you, James.
Okay, hi everyone. Just to introduce myself again, I'm James. So just a bit more about me. My academic background is in AI, and I also had a master's in development and AI at MIT. My professional experience is in international development at places like ID Insight, One Acre Fund, Dahlberg, and then most recently, I founded AILice, which is an AI startup that supports the use of evaluation in development. So we've worked on many projects, in particular with lots of UN agencies to use AI. So I'm here to share a bit about my experience working with different UN agencies, how they see AI used in their processes, and then hopefully that would be some insights into how evaluation might change as AI becomes more prevalent. So I'll just start by talking a bit about what is AI, and then I'll go through two case studies. And the case studies are a bit more concrete, such that it's things that you might be able to do in your day-to-day work. And then I'll end off with some reflection. So just first up, what is AI? I think you're all very familiar with ChatGPT. That's sort of very text-based, and I'm sure a lot of you have used it before. So that this is just an example of ChatGPT, but I also wanted to highlight additional changes. So there's also video and images, and so right now I think AI is very good at creating maybe 10 seconds or 60 seconds of video and audio. And in the future, in maybe a couple of years, you'll see AI creating maybe 30 minutes or an hour or even an entire movie. And so that's what a lot of researchers are heading to. So AI is going to very radically transform audio, video, photo generation. The other type of analysis is code generation. This may also be something that you might have heard of, but just to also explain, right now I can in this screenshot, I'm asking the AI to create a calculator app. And what you'll see is the AI is able to code everything and then generate the software that you want just via your prompt. Here's an actual working calculator app. And so very quickly in the next few years, AI is also going to be able to create your own bespoke software. And so that's also going to very radically change how everyone is using AI, because you can create your own individual software, write your own code, and process all of the analysis or productivity work that you might need. And then the final thing is they're also training AI to be able to use a computer. So here right now, what AI is able to do, you can tell it, can you book me a flight, or can you read this article, find all these articles. AI is able to, intelligently write the URL link, search things, click on different articles. And so in a couple of years, you'll see AI being able to, can you help me find this flight, or can you help me find the best item to purchase, or clear my email inbox. So I share all of this just to talk a bit about how AI will very fundamentally transform everything that you'll be doing. It's all, we are most familiar with the text side of things, and we're already trying to keep up as fast as we can. But there's also other spaces where it's going to very significantly change how we work and how we live. And so it's very important to be able to keep up with all of this. And you're already here, so I don't need to sort of belabor this, but just to highlight how AI is actually very revolutionary, and how we just need to keep up and make sure that we are equipped with skills to be able to use AI as much as we can. What I had just shared is, very abstract and very sort of scary or futuristic. I won't be covering such, grand use cases, because, of course, I'll be focusing on actual successful case studies that we've done with different UN agencies. And here, these are primarily text, but I just wanted to share a bit about, how AI might evolve. But for now, I'll go into a bit of detail on the two case studies that I will share. And these are, live things that have already happened, already successful. And so you already can incorporate these things into your projects. So the first case study is with UNITAR, which is the UN Institute of Training and Research. So what they did was they worked with us to create an AI avatar, and then they used this avatar to collect over 50 different interviews. So the avatar was able to ask questions to the different stakeholders on their mobile phones or on their computers on a website, and they could, actually conduct interviews. And then following that, they then used AI to transcribe the interviews and then to analyze the interview transcripts. So AI could also generate a final report. The second case study that I will cover is with UNICEF, and they used AI to conduct a synthesis of over 700 different management responses across 160 evaluation reports. So here, this could 160 evaluation reports. Each report was about 100 to 200 pages. So that's 1,000 or up to 4,000 pages of information. And that's just too difficult for any human to do. And we wanted AI to be able to look at all of that information, pick out the key insights, and then come up with a report. So I'll cover these two insights. And then throughout these two case studies, I'll also show the AI Lies online tool. It's just one tool, but it gives you a sense of, how these UN agencies are actually using AI, what's the interface look like. I primarily show these screenshots so that you understand that it's nothing very sophisticated, nothing very difficult, and you should try to, actually use some of these AI tools in your day-to-day work. ALIs is just one platform, but there are many other platforms that you could consider to equip yourself to use AI. And then I'll end off talking about some reflections around, bias, hallucination, data security, human oversight. There's a lot of concern there. I'll talk about, what are things that you should be concerned of? What are things that, you don't really need to be concerned of? It's not really that big of an issue and it's overhyped. So those are sort of the key agenda for today. So let me start with the first case study. So this is using AI to create AI avatars. And, at any time during this workshop, you can, as I think Monica mentioned, put it in the chat. And then at appropriate times, I'll pick up on the questions and answer them during this session. So what Unitar wanted to do was create AI avatars. So they had this list of interview questions. So that's what you see on the left. Things like, what are some gaps that were addressed during training? What key practices did you appreciate the most? So these are interview questions that, are typical, and they wanted to train an AI avatar to be able to ask these questions. And they also wanted to cover these 28 different languages, including in, regional languages like Indonesian, even other regional languages like Vietnamese, Malay. So all of these were some of their requirements. And so what we were able to do for Unitar is actually create an avatar that looks something like this. Where they could choose different languages and the avatar will speak to you. It will follow your interview guide, follow how you want the AI to introduce themselves, and then follow your interview questions, and then based on your interview questions, ask intelligent responses. give intelligent responses. So it'll ask, can you clarify that? Can you give examples? What do you mean? Can you explain more about XYZ? And so it's intelligent enough to, carry out a full interview of about an hour long. Um, and then, once the AI finishes the interview, everything is transcribed using AI. So Unitar gets the interview transcripts. And these are also, if it's in a different languages, automatically translated into English or other languages for them to analyze. So some of the key takeaways that we have in terms of this AI avatar, we were able to collect over 50 interviews in just 3 days across different languages. We found that participants were comfortable with using the tool. They could use it on their mobile phones, so they could do it on the go. They could also do it on their computers. And it's also, I think, because, I think partly it's a very interesting and novel experience. It's very special to be able to talk to an avatar, so that was very interesting. Um, the other um, the other piece is, the avatar is also able to understand what the person is saying, and so it's able to ask good follow-up questions, asking why, how, give examples, and the conversations were very engaging. We got about 10 pages long. Um, and then uh, I think there were additional interesting insights. So, for example, we also found that female avatars typically got more detailed responses, and so that's very similar to actually humans. When female humans do interviews, they also typically get more detailed responses. And at the same time, we also are aware that technology is still progressing. So, sometimes when participants pause for a long time, their avatar may get confused and assume this participant has finished speaking and then talks over them. So there's still some technology things to improve. But overall, we got very, very rich responses, and of course, in very high efficiency for this AI avatar. I see some questions, so I think there's some ethical things to worry about. So I think with respect to this avatar, there are ethical issues. So, for example, if you're talking about, sexual violence, very sensitive topics like that, you might not want to use an avatar. You might want to be a bit more personal. But at the same time, I would not rule it out just yet. So we have done experiments where we got a human to do the avatar interview on, more sensitive topics like political issues. And what we found was actually when the human does the interview, we got less responses and less open responses because you're speaking to a human, the human's judging you, the human's sort of assessing whether, what your political beliefs are. Whereas when they talk to just not to an avatar, but to a AI voice. So there's no avatar, it's just a AI voice, and it's just conversing via voice. Then actually we get very rich responses and richer than a human. So actually it's case by case, how, the context of your use case, just because it's sensitive, sometimes, of course, it's inappropriate. If it's children and sexual violence, you might not want to do that. But in other cases, like politics, actually the AI actually just, as one person mentioned, they listened and they don't really try to over interpret, and it feels a bit impersonal, and that's actually something that's good for some interviews. So ethics is something interesting here, and we find that it's on a case-by-case basis, the kinds of use cases you might want for the avatar. But for the vast majority of use cases, we find it is okay. Even with children, so we've done AI avatar interviews with children, and they also find it acceptable to speak to the avatar. They know it's a virtual avatar, and in fact, a lot of them like to call the avatar Mrs. AI or Miss AI. And so they have, actually good engagement with the AI. There's another question around, human gestures and emotions. So unfortunately, that's not being captured by the avatar. And right now it's all about text. So if your text is obviously about being angry, so I hate this person, it's also going to come through in the text. But if it's a bit more subtle and you do need to detect emotion or actual gestures, then that's not something that the technology is ready at this stage. There are a lot of research that's being done to detect, emotions in the voices as well as facial expressions. So I've tried some of these myself. I think they are fairly capable. It's just that we're not able to go beyond about 10 minutes or about 15 minutes. That's where the technology is at. At about 15 minutes, the AI is not able to follow instructions as accurately anymore. With if you want it to also look at your face, also look at the voice. But I guess in 1 or 2 more years, that should be at the pace of AI development. This is something that definitely will be incorporated in the future. The final point in the chat box is around accents and pronunciation. So we have fairly good AI transcription. So maybe I'll go into, for example, here. This is an example of an interface with transcription. And just to highlight that, I think at this stage, AI is able to cover almost 100 different languages. And the interesting thing is you could also put in specific words, specific spelling, and so that helps the AI understand, how, if it's if it's a location or if it's a name, you might want to put in your own words, and then the AI can pick it up much more effectively. So that's sort of one way to make the transcription a lot more accurate for different accents or different specific words. And then, of course, we've also experimented with, AI avatars, for example, outdoors, in the field, in farms. And that doesn't work well because there's a lot of extra noise. So it really still depends. Of course, there's an extreme where if it's extremely noisy or it's very, very heavy accents, it might not work. But thus far, we've done this in many, many different locations, including in Indonesia. We've done it in South Sudan. We've done it in Bosnia. We've done it in South Africa. And generally, it works well for indoor settings on your mobile phone or on desktop computers. So that covers sort of the AI avatar piece. Then next, let me cover the analysis. So they've collected, 50 interview transcripts, each of them 10 pages long. You have 500 pages of documents. What are you going to do? It's a lot of information. So I'll bring you through just the AI's interface, but it's just to give you a sense of what AI is able to do. So here, what Unitar did was it uploaded all of their interview transcripts, and then it selected different analyses options. So you can get a summary, you can get themes, you can get answers to your questions, you can get frequency analysis, and then you can compare viewpoints across different segments like gender or age. There are additional options, but I won't show you those details. You can get AI to generate themes, or you can put in your own themes. You can put in your own frequencies or viewpoints. You specify, which document is male, female, and so on. But ultimately, once you put all of that information in, the AI can give you a report, and the report looks something like this, where you have, themes, summaries, and then answers to your questions. And this is sort of an example of the interface that Unitar looked at. So it gives you, for every question that you have, it gives you an overall analysis across all your files, gives you the majority opinion, minority opinions, unique or differing viewpoints. So if people contradict each other, it'll flag out some of these viewpoints. And then at the bottom, you get very detailed analyses of each file. So, if you want to dive deeper into individual participants, you can take a look at what individual participants said. And then everything is also backed up by citations and quotes. So what that means is you shouldn't be too worried about hallucinations where people make up quotes. this could happen for tools like ChatGPT, but there are a lot of other tools that will properly cite your documents, give you quotes. And so you just need to make sure that, depending on the tool you use, you can actually click on the quotes or look at the quotes to see and verify. So for example, you can click on these quotes and when you click on the quote, you'll see where it lies in the document. So you can actually verify where it's coming from, the context, and understand how the AI is making its assessments. So I think at some point, maybe in a year or 2 years, you shouldn't need to, a lot of software will build these features in, and you shouldn't be too worried about hallucination and AI making up fake information. So beyond, the citations and quotes, if I scroll down, you'll also see the comparison of viewpoints across different segments like gender or age. So it tells me what are some similarities and differences in viewpoints across different genders. It will also give me, if I scroll down, a frequency analysis. So it gives me, for this question that I have or the theme that I'm looking at, it'll help me identify in the documents what are the different viewpoints. And then for each viewpoint, it'll help me quantify how many participants spoke about that viewpoint. And then I could also compare it across gender if I wanted to. And then if I want to know exactly who said what and who belonged to which viewpoint, I can scroll down. And what I will see is here on the left, those are the viewpoints. And then for every document, I'll get relevant quotes, elaboration. And again, I can click on the quote to see where it lies in the document. And then finally, there's also, for every analysis, there's a chatbot that I can use to refine any analysis, to go deeper, to rephrase it. I can give it my outline of the insights I want to talk about, and then it can help me populate those insights and give me a draft report. So those are some of the key things that I think Unitar used to generate its analysis. And so what are the key takeaways and findings? We were able to analyze 50 interviews over 500 pages in just 2 days across different languages. We got, just to summarize, themes, answers to your questions, comparing across males and females. We also were able to quantify how many people spoke about which viewpoints. And so AI was really able to organize all of the insights very, very efficiently for me to then, synthesize, for Unitar to then synthesize and understand. Something that you realize with the tool is it just tells you, what did most people say, what are sort of the similarities and differences. It does not really try to give you, some recommendations, or it doesn't understand the context of your evaluation. It doesn't understand the program. And so it can just tell you, basic summaries. But all of the synthesis and the insights and the implications and what are important insights versus not important insights, those are still up to you. And you can then pick and choose based on what the AI generates to give you the final report. So for example, the AI might tell you, COVID is a big problem and so on and so forth, but maybe to your stakeholders, COVID is not an important thing anymore and they're not worried about it. So you still need to steer the AI to tell it, don't really care about COVID, it's not important. Or when it generates these insights, you can just ignore the COVID-related insights. And these are things that still requires human insights and doesn't, it's not something that AI is able to ever replace. So that's where I think AI will increasingly, steer towards you getting AI, organize all of the insights, and then you picking out what are important and then synthesizing those insights. One question that I see is the quality of the transcripts. That's also something that is important on the human side. AI is not going to be able to give you the quality of the transcripts. Of course, there's some simple things like, is it transcribing correctly? Is the words correct when it does the transcription? But there are more subtle things. So for example, maybe when you look at the transcripts, the participant is not really giving sufficient elaboration. or maybe, it's not giving good examples. And so, the AI might tell you that, you couldn't pick up any examples of this issue, but actually, the program and the people, and that there are these issues. So AI will not be able to tell you that this is an issue because it's not in the data. And so you still need to have that critical thinking to say, it's not in the transcripts. I know it's an issue. Maybe it's a problem with the interview guide that we had. Maybe it's a problem with the transcription. Maybe we're interviewing the wrong stakeholders. Those are things that AI won't be able to figure out. And so that's something that you still have to pay attention to. So that comes to the end of the first case study. I will very quickly go to the second case study. It's again similar, where it deals with analyzing data. So here, what UNICEF wanted to do, as I mentioned, was analyze, a lot of information across over 700 different management responses, and this is also across 160 reports. So I'll focus on this analysis of the management responses, where they had this data in Excel, and how can I analyze 700 data points efficiently? So that's where they used AI. And so what they did was they uploaded this Excel sheet to our tool, and then they selected the column that they wanted to analyze. And then once they click on that button, it will look at all 700 management responses and recommendations, and identify the top themes and sub-themes. So here, this is what the AI recommended as the top themes and sub-themes in the data. It gives categories, subcategories, themes, sub-themes, and the description of the sub-themes. And here you can then align it to your theory of change or your evaluation framework. And then once you are happy with this once UNICEF was happy with this, they then clicked on the button, and that helped to code every single row in your data. So this is similar to survey data that you might have, where you collected 1,000 comments from your respondents, and you want to code every single row. That's something that this tool is this methodology is also trying to do. It's also similar to, let's say you collected a lot of social media comments, and you want to find the top pain points or the top issues. That's also something that is similar to this methodology. And so what the AI then generates is an output that looks something like this, where on the left, that's all of their original data, and then in zeros and ones, that's all of the AI codes. And so it's able to flag, code every single row. And so once everything is coded, you can then get charts that look like this. You get frequency charts of the themes, sub-themes, you find what's most important, and then you can look through all the different responses and see which were tagged to which code. You can also compare it across different category segments, like gender or age, and so on. And then if I scroll down, I will get a short report that goes over all of the key themes and sub-themes. And if I scroll down again, I will see for every sub-theme even more detailed information with illustrative quotes and so on. And then what UNICEF was able to do is bring all of that into their final report. So this is from their final report, where they showed, they put it in their design. All of these were actually quantified by AI. And then the analysis in the report will also, to a large extent, taken by the AI. And then all the quotes that the AI helped to identify, they were able to then put that into their final report. So what were some of the key reflections across these two case studies? And this is sort of my final slide before we go into a more detailed Q&A. What you find is across these two studies, and AI is able to analyze a lot of information, and actually to a quite high accuracy. You see that, across both projects, they were very successfully done. The UN agencies were happy and are continuing to use AI in all of their analyses. And so you should not be too worried about, is it going to be accurate or not? If you find the right tools, if you sort of work at it with AI tools, you should be able to get AI to give you good insights. What you do have to pay attention to is, the second point, which is more ambiguous phrases. So in evaluation, there's always more broad phrases like strategic partnership or leave no one behind or gender transformative or big phrases like these where it's a bit hard to define, and you need to when you instruct AI, it's similar to instructing another person who doesn't have context about your program. When you say strategic partnership, does strategic partnership mean that they are on my management committee? Is strategic partnership does that mean that they co-funded the program? Does strategic partnership mean that we worked on the project for 3 or more years? What does strategic partnership mean? And when you just ask AI, okay, I identify the strategic partners in this report, or if you tell the AI, can you figure out, who were the strategic partners? AIs will not be able to give you a very consistent answer because by definition, it's very, very broad and different people will interpret differently. So when you say and you ask, is it able to handle jargon? It's not really about jargon. Some jargon is very, very specific. And if the jargon is very specific, then it doesn't have an issue with analyzing such information. But when the jargon is very broad, like these examples here, just to give one more example, like leave no one behind, we've done a lot of analysis on leave no one behind. And sometimes leave no one behind means people with disabilities. Sometimes it means people in LGBTQ communities. Sometimes it means elderly populations, refugees, and it's very, very inconsistent. So, what you might want to do when you are thinking about having this in your evaluation framework or evaluation questions, you might want to just break that down. Instead of asking the AI, who were the strategic partners, you might want to ask, okay, who are the private sector partners, who are the academic partners, and so on. Then it will be able to give you a much more precise answer. And then you as the human, you're the person who understands a lot of the context and then try to triangulate that and give that a more coherent definition, a more consistent definition, and then synthesize that into a more accurate response. The third point is around the need for human oversight. So what you saw in all of the examples, AI is able to help you code the information, suggest some themes, and it just helps you organize all of your data to make it much more manageable. But again, the human's required to draw out the implications. Just because a lot of respondents said that funding is an issue doesn't mean that maybe you already know that funding is something that's being resolved and not going to be an important part. Or maybe you know that it's impossible to get more funding and you don't want to put that as a recommendation. It doesn't make sense. So you still have a lot of that strategic contextual information. AI is just going to repeat what your data says. You would have to put meaning to that data. The fourth point is around, I think a lot of people have concern around hallucination, bias, and so on. In many AI tools, you'll find that maybe not with ChatGPT, but other AI tools, you'll find that, everything's always going to be backed up by citations and quotes. And if you can click on the quotes to verify it for yourself, typically, the use of AI in these instances will not lead to a lot of hallucination. So I would not be too worried about that. And similarly, bias, what we found is, typically the AI just repeats to you what the human says. So it's not going to have huge biases. What it does have issues with, as I mentioned, rather than bias, more around, ambiguity, broad phrases. It doesn't understand context. Those are things that you would have to pay more attention to. The final point is around data security. So in all of the tools that you use, you should always make sure that the data is encrypted so no one else can see your data. For tools like ChatGPT, for example, or even other tools, you just have to be careful. Sometimes they use the data for AI model training or for troubleshooting purposes. You just want to make sure that your data is encrypted and then also not used to train any AI models. I think once you find, on any AI tool, these two assurances, you should be generally comfortable with using those tools. it's going to be similar to, using Dropbox or Google Drive. They also encrypt your data. They don't use it to train anything else. So those are the security guarantees that you should pay attention to. So that comes to the end of these presentation. I think we have maybe about 10 minutes, so I'm happy to take any additional questions.
Yes, thank you so much, James. That was a very interesting topics and tools. I think it's such a sophisticated tools. Yeah. If anyone, I would like to invite everyone here. If you have any question or clarifications, you can directly open your mic, or you can put your questions. We have 10 minutes for Q&A. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat box, or you can directly open your mic to speak directly and asking James or clarifying something in the chat box. And before we have another questions, I have a questions, James. And for these tools, is it free, or how much we can spend our money to use that such a sophisticated tools? I think I'm personally, for my professional daily life, I really need these tools. We have in our organizations such a lot of evaluations report, but in the senior level management, sometimes we need to summarize and synthesize the insight, and the summary of the documents is not enough to cover all the insights that we need to get from the evaluations report. So that's that for me, personally, professionally, daily life, it's very interesting. So the question is how much we can spend to use the sophisticated tools.
Yeah, so for this tool, there's a free plan. So that allows you to try, all the different features that you saw here. But you will really only get maybe one theme or one question. And then to actually use the tool, it's USD $50 per month. So when you have collected all of your data, you can then subscribe, analyze all of your data, and then once you're done, you can then unsubscribe. And typically, you might want to look at, in contracts, things like your IT budget or your technology budget. I think this is for this tool. For other tools, I think you'll always find it in a very similar price range. Typically, it's around $50, and typically it's on a monthly basis. So you can think about, so that's sort of something that you should start to prepare, because, if you don't use AI, that's going to be a big disadvantage when you do analyses.
Okay, thank you. Any discount for us who are registered in your sessions today? Maybe it will be interesting to us to trying or testing after these sessions how to to apply these tools in our daily life as evaluators. And I think I have another questions. I think it is come from some of my friends. Related to the methodology or ethical that we need to consider to when we are using this AI-driven approach, or we use the avatar to replace human tasks during the interview. Yeah, what do you think? What is the ethical or practical considerations before we are starting to use the avatar?
Yeah, so on the practical considerations, the most practical one is whether your respondents will have access to internet. And so if they're able to do Zoom, then it's going to be fairly straightforward. They can do it on their phone or on their computers. The avatar will be very similar. They can just go to a URL link. The other practical consideration is, the level of seniority of your stakeholders. Some stakeholders might be more AI, pro AI, some might be anti AI, and some stakeholders you would probably want to do interviews yourself. So you also should just make sure that you consider some of that. And then the third practical consideration is in some of the work that you do, often, your stakeholders would want more and more analyses. And so this is something that if you're able to say that, right now we in the project we were planning for 20, but because we can use technology, we can now interview 50 or 100. That's going to help you stand out. That's going to help you secure contracts. And that's also going to get you much deeper insight. So often with surveys or with just small interviews, you don't get the depth of insight. You get maybe 1 or 2 sentences or just a few words in a survey. That's sort of another practical consideration because you just aren't able to answer the evaluation question. You can only figure out, you can only do that with large scale interviews. The final question that you had was more around ethics. And with ethics, I think what's important is, like what I mentioned, making sure that your respondents are comfortable with using AI. And oftentimes, that's not big of an issue. It's more novel, trying to be novel. Because it's very novel, people are willing to engage with AI. Where they're a bit more concerned is more around data security, data privacy. And so in some of your outreach to your respondents, just clarifying that, the data will be anonymized, it's not going to be identifiable, it won't be, it will be deleted at the end of the project. These are things that will reassure your participants.
Okay, Tinashi, we have a questions from Tinashi. You would like to speak directly, or I can read your questions in the chat box? Tinashi? Tinashi asking about the prompts that you have used for the cases that you show, and what level of prompt engineering will one needs to be able to come up with ideal.
Yeah, so I think on prompt engineering, generally, the AI should be able to pick out.
The questions related to the prompts that you use. Or James?
Yeah, so on prompt engineering, generally, you can just use your evaluation questions, typically the way it's already phrased, to ask your questions. The things that you have to be aware of are things that require a lot of context. So these could be things like maybe the name of your project or some sort of framework. If you have some of these, you should always give the AI a lot of context. And I didn't show it in this presentation, but there's a section in every analysis where you can give it optional instructions, give it more context around your project that can help to give you a bit more precise insights. And I also talked about, ambiguous phrases. So making sure that you're clear about these ambiguous phrases and break it down into more specific, definite, smaller terms. And then the final thing is you also ultimately you just have to test it out. So don't be too ambitious. Just test it out on 1 or 2 or 3 files. Do an in-depth check of each analysis, and then check out if it's understanding your prompts correctly. That's also really important. The final thing is for some interviews, and this is what I see across multiple tools. Often, some interviews are very conversation-like. So it's more like a discussion. And when it's a discussion, sometimes it's not clear who's interviewing and who's not interviewing. Or sometimes the interviewer says a lot of a lot of insights and makes a lot of assertions, and the AI gets confused. Should I analyze the interviewee or the interviewer? Should I take these into consideration or not? So that's also something very important. Ultimately, what you have to do is just test out on a few examples, see the analysis, and then the mitigation measures are giving AI more context, breaking down broad phrases into more specific phrases. And then for things like it's not able to focus on the right, interviewer or interviewee, you might want to tell the AI, speaker one is the interviewer, don't include any of the analysis from there. Speaker two, only take the analyses from speaker two. These are things that, as in a trial and error approach, you will be able to get better answers.
Okay, thank you, James. Mas Dwi Agus, sorry for the time limit, time limitations. I think we are now we can conclude these sessions since we are in the end of these sessions. I can conclude that AI will be very much helping our works as evaluators, but we need to be smart, wise, and creative users, and be careful with the prompt that we use. Be more specific and use a more specific prompt and query as much as possible. I think that's the point. Whatever we are doing in the AI, we need to be smart than the artificial one. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our learning sessions today. And thank you, James, for your very interesting and also very sophisticated tools and very fruitful discussions. And I think we can see you another peer-to-peer learning sessions for the next coming months. And now I can over to you, Denny, for another sessions, another point.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, James. We learned a lot of how AI can do in evaluation. Now we are going to the closing remarks. I will give it to Pak Erwin Tejayusman from Indeks Representative. Please, Pak Jayus.
Okay, thank you, Denny. It's still me to giving the closing remark, even though August still here. Okay. Okay, everyone, for me it's very incredible session actually, and I would like to say thank you to you all, to James as our speaker, to Prima, Monica, and Denny, also as the organizer of this peer-to-peer learning. So thank you all for also the participant for your energy, insight, and engagement today. Maybe the time is not suffocating. I think this is the first peer-to-peer learning session, but this is just the beginning of the something bigger, right? And we are so exciting to have you all as part of this journey with EvalYouth Indonesia, actually. So based on what James presented today, we not only launched the series, but also delve into how AI is transforming the future of evaluation. So technology and innovation present new opportunities in our field actually. Maybe in the future, James, we will have like contextual AI maybe, yeah. So we should train the AI to be more contextual. So we must recognize that we cannot escape or ignore technological advancement, but rather learn to adapt to them. So your insight and contribution to this discussion have been truly inspiring. Importantly, this space is about fostering connection, sharing knowledge, and growing together as young evaluator and also the all evaluator like me and Agus actually for the all evaluator. And we are committed to keeping this momentum going with maybe the session that's bring relevant practical learning experience. So stay connected, stay curious, and keep sharing your ideas because this is just the start. So thank you, everyone. Thanks again for being here. Thank you. Back to you, Denny.
Thank you, Mas Erwin. Hopefully we can engage more in the next peer-to-peer learning. So this is our last session. No, almost last session. We are going to have a photo sessions and announcements. So please open. Hopefully you can open your camera. I know it will be getting late. I hope you have very good lighting. Novi, Mbak Novi, Mbak Puput, Mas Ridwan, Mas Adri, Mbak Agnes, Mbak Esa, Mbak Tinase, or Mrs. Tinase, Aiden. Kiwi, okay. Mbak Esa, Mas Ridwan. Can AI also open the camera? I don't think so. Oh, I cannot open my camera. Oops. That's very sweet, joining during the motorbike ride. Okay, I will count until 3. Mas Nailul, can you do the screenshot? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Once more, just for backup. Can we have love signs? Anything love signs? 1, 2, 3. Okay. I never see the love sign from the eye. I think it's a good one. Thank you so much. Before ending, I said that this is on, not on. Okay, sorry. So, the upcoming peer-to-peer learning session in 2025 is there will be meal ICT, impact evaluation, feminist evaluation, causal pathway, and fiscal economic evaluation. There will be there are a lot of ideas. So I think because this is late, I will share it to you, the polling list, when we are share the materials to you to give an idea what is the emerging topic that you want to discuss, you want to learn. Okay, so instead of having the Menti, I will post it until the email come from our side to share the material and also the polling for what is the most interesting topic for you. Now, as I think Nail already type it in the chat box. You can connect and grow with us together. Try to becoming youth and emerging evaluator today by clicking the forms. This is very hard to click. I think you can click. Okay, the Bitly membership form. EvalYouth Indonesia. That's all. Okay, and follow us on social media and be part of the movement. There are LinkedIn page, EvalYouth Indonesia, and also this EvalYouth Indonesia in Twitter or in X. That's now is already this station already also live in X. I think that's it. Thank you. Terima kasih banyak for all the participants, for all the young and emerging evaluator, for Inde, for AI Lies, for Jane, for Monica, for all.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
In the
Thank
next
you.